recording also. I started the recording. So today what we'll discuss is how to create iPad specific dashboards. I'll show you some of the screenshots or earlier dashboards which I created, and then we'll talk about the pagebook component. And transport of application is still pending, right? We have not covered it properly yesterday. So we'll talk about these things. And later on we'll add like you said other components, right? So those components also we'll see what and all we can cover, because today is the last class basically. Okay. So after that, if you have any doubts and all, you just ping me on WhatsApp or send me an email. I'll reply to that. Okay. So first, quickly in 10 minutes, we'll cover the transport, then we'll go to other components. Okay. So regarding transport on BI platform, right? You go to CMC. Central Management Console. Okay. And there is a noise coming, so I'll just mute you. Dev, I'll mute you. If you have any questions, I just unmute yourself and then ask. Okay. So in CMC, you go to promotion management. Then there you can create a job to transport your objects from one environment to another environment. So Design Studio objects also you will transport in the same way. You create a new job. You give a title to a new job, anything. Let's assume that we want to move our HR dashboard. So we'll give HR dashboard. There you can write the detail of the job. Okay, some keywords to identify so that it becomes easy for search you can give. Then where you want to say promotion jobs, what is your source? Source is nothing but this local CSS, right? So you log in into new CSS, the same CSS. This is our CMC. So we are logging in, giving the user ID and password. Source is logged in. Destination. Now in destination, we have three options basically. Either we want to publish on the same server, or we want to put output to the LCM BIR file, or login into a new CMS basically. So what you have is you have source. Now from source, the option is either you can directly migrate to the from, like, it is source is development, either you can migrate from source to QA, and from QA you can migrate to production. This is one way. Another way is, if source is, this is development, right? You first migrate to LCM BIR file. It's a file. You take that file, import that file into QA, finish your testing, and then import the same file into production also. So based on your what process, sometimes like basis team says, okay, you move from CMS to CMS only. So you log in into new CMS, like this is development, source is development, destination will be your QA or production. So you select new CMS, give the details of new CMS, which is production or QA, and connect it and then proceed. Okay. Some people will say, no, it's better you create a LCM BIR file. If it is successful, import that BIR file into QA or production. So this approach is much safer. You are not disturbing the QA and production environment directly. First, you are checking whether everything is okay or not. You are able to export it or not. So you export everything to the LCM BIR file, create a job. So now job is created. You need to add the what and all objects you want to export. So let's assume that we have okay, we'll export this test DB. This is our analysis application, right? So we'll export, we have selected, and if you have multiple applications, you can simply go and select add So that one is added, one application is added. If you want to add more, you can go to different folders and add another also. Okay, with the Design Studio dashboard, you want to migrate one Webby report also, you can select that also. Once everything is done, add and close. So your objects, whatever objects you have selected, right, those will list here and their folder structures will show here. Now what you do is you select and click on manage dependency. So these objects are dependent on these things. You need this connection also. When you are exporting it, you need its backend connection also. So this connection is based on, this report is based on this connection. So whatever is dependents, you can select all the dependents, apply and close. So those dependents are also selected with these main objects. You want to export these two objects, but in the backend they are connected to, they are using one connection also, they are using one universe also. So those things also we need to migrate, right? So you select the manage dependency. Once this is done, you can save your job. So your job is saved. Now you, whenever you run the job, right, it will export these things, these two objects plus its dependent objects into an LCM BIR file. So to run it, you can simply click on promote and you can say export. It's exported. Where you want to save is, you can save as wherever you want to save with a name. It's a LCM BIR file. You can give any name, click on save. It's done. Now your export is done. You will go to your QA or production environment and there you will go and click on the same promotion management, CMC promotion management, and this time you will click on import file. You will select the file. This is the file. It will open the job. This is from file. The source is from file. Where is the destination? You select the destination CMC and you give the QA or production environment here. So now your destination is QA or production. You create the job. So the job is already there. It will replace it because right now we are working on the same server only. So this is our job. When you promote it, this time when you promote it, it will move the content from LCM BIR file to the either QA or production, whatever server you have given as a destination. The job will, this is the job we created. If you refresh it, it will give you the status. So see, the status is success. So from file to this destination server, we have migrated the content. Is this clear? Guys, is it clear like how this migration or promotion or transport is clear on BI platform mode?
Are we saving it?
Yeah.
Okay, just go ahead.
Yeah, I can share. Actually, that's clear. It's very clear. But
Okay.
the only thing is that you can have the access for CMC.
CMC access will be it will be like either BO admin will have the access or basis team will have the access. So they normally those people will do the migration.
Okay, no. I mean, for practice, that can we get access from somebody?
If you have an environment, you can practice, or else like because this server I told you, right? You can get the
Right,
server
right.
on monthly. If you want on monthly basis, you can get the server.
Yeah, I'm agree with that. I'll get that access.
Okay,
Please
fine.
send me the
Yeah. I'll talk to you separately on this then. You can get the server access and you can practice even ECC and HANA, everything is there.
So once on central management console, once you migrated, what happens? That we have to create a report?
No, it's already available. Now users will log in into their Launchpad. They log in,
Okay,
yeah, and they can access the report from there. It's basically moved from development to QA now. So you just log in into QA, go to the folder and then open the report basically.
So control management console is the one to give you the flash of the dashboard.
Central management console, it is used for admin activities. It is like, so whoever is a BO admin who will he will maintain the server using central management console. Either you want to create a new user or change somebody's access and all. So those things you can maintain here, or you want to add new servers to it, or you want to create OLAP connections. You want to monitor the server, how it is performing. You want to add license keys. So those everything you can do it through CMC. All admin
there's
activities. All admin
Need to-
activities will be done using CMC.
Wonderful. Okay, great. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, Misbah, you were saying something?
Yeah, actually, if you can just send me the details of remote access, you know, if I want to, get it for a month or so. So
Okay, fine.
yeah, I mean, I'm just interested to get the details on email. You can just email me.
Yeah, sure. I'll send you an email, separate email on this.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yeah. Fine, guys. So
Rakesh,
yeah, Krishna.
sorry. If let's assume that we have done a transport right now in the development of QA for some
Yeah.
reason, this we feel like this we have done the wrong development and we need to amend it, or if we need the previous this image. So can we have the concept called reverse transportation here also?
No, reverse transportation. Okay, for that there is a concept called version management here. So it depends
Oh.
if you are maintaining the version, then yes,
I see.
you can revert it back. If you're not maintaining the version, then it is overwritten, right? Then another option is if you have the previous LCM BIR file, right? You can deploy that previous LCM BIR file, and because on everyday basis they'll be taking the backup, right? BO admin will be taking the backup. Either he will be taking the backup for the
that's
complete file system, or he'll be creating LCM BIR file or Windows backup itself.
That's true.
So using that
That's
you can
right.
recover it.
Okay, and or we can probably from the production to this probably we can do the
Correct.
reverse transport kind of.
Correct.
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay. Is it like just saving the image actually in the local mode in sense like this wherever is the either in the server side or in the locally, and importing it and exporting it.
Correct.
Is that correct?
Yeah.
It's not like SAP transport system
No.
where
You can move from development to QA also directly. So I told you, right, while creating the job there is an option, right? You can select a new CMS, but that but people normally avoid that option because you are moving content from one server to second server, and if there is any problem, right, that second server you will have some issues. So better first you move it to one file, and using that file you move it to QA. Yeah, it's like kind of rework. So some people don't prefer that, and some people, like if they have the expert BO admins and the team is strong enough, they'll do they move from one environment to another environment directly.
I understand. It depends on the project.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. So okay, another thing, you yesterday, like they asked, right, iPad specific dashboards, any dashboards which I created, and so we created one iPad specific dashboard. I'll show you there are one dashboard only we created for desktop and iPad devices same. So the dashboard is same, but the look and feel is different. So you see, this is it's in German. So, but I'll explain you what is this dashboard. It has like 5 tabs, different tabs.
Rakesh, is it possible to create a single dashboard that is native on every platform, like a mobile and then desktop? Something like Fury apps, which is native to all of the platforms, mobile as well as iPad as well as web,
No.
like desktop. Yeah.
1 minute. Yeah. Yeah, sorry guys. See, this dashboard also, whatever dashboard you create on using Design Studio, right? That dashboard you will be able to run on iPad as well as on desktop, all the devices. But sometimes because the screen size differs, right? So desktops are normally bigger screens, right? You can see more charts. And iPad, the size of the chart or the size of the button, it should be little big, right? For example, this line chart, if you take, right, if you're working on a desktop device, then if you can easily click on the point, right, because you have a mouse. But when it comes to iPad, it is difficult to click on the point, right? It's very small, so you need a bigger. So that time, sometime based on the requirement, either you will create two dashboards, or if your more people are more towards iPad, what you will do is you will create a more the bigger buttons,
Rakesh,
which may not look good. Yeah, Dev.
Rakesh, sorry, I lost the connection some time back. Can you please repeat it? What you
Okay.
were explaining?
See, we are discussing. I'm showing you like the different kind of dashboards. Okay, the iPad one and the desktop one. So I'm just comparing the desktop version with the iPad version, which normally you will create only one dashboard, which you will see on iPad and which you will see on desktop both. But sometimes in some scenarios, people will ask you to create the same version of the dashboard for desktop and same version on for the iPad also. Okay, so I'm just showing you one. This is one dashboard we created for desktop. Okay, it's in German, so you can, and I'll show you the same dashboard which we created for iPad. So this is the dashboard we created for iPad. So if you see from functionality point of view, everything remains same. So this,
but in iPad cross tab doesn't support, right?
no, there is no cross tab here.
But you go to the next screen, iPad screen. This is cross tab, right?
No, this is not cross tab. This is grid using. This is grid component, and we have used different text boxes to give a look of cross tab. It's not cross tab. For iPad, like it is easy to select if the radio buttons are bigger, right? It is easy to select. But in the desktop, if you put bigger buttons, right, it doesn't look good. So you can, because you have mouse, right? So you can select with smaller buttons also.
Rakesh, are there any customized components or cross tabs that are supported in iPads that you have used in past? You know, if you have used something in past, you know, which is something a cross tab. Yeah.
No, for cross tab, see, if your number of records are, you know that, because let's take this example, right? We know that there will be only 5, these are KPIs basically. Okay, so this is net sales KPI, then net profit and conversion rate, and some other 2 KPIs. So we know that there will be only 5 KPIs. So we know number of records. If you know the number of records, that it will be always be 4 or 5 or 6 only. That time what you can do is you can put a grid component, and you know that, okay, these many rows will be there, these many columns will be there, your structure is fixed, so you can use a grid. But sometimes your cross tab, you don't know how many records it will come. So that time, yes, it's a problem. You can use cross tab component, this cross tab, but it's not supported by SAP on iPad devices. So you will see the behavior is not consistent on desktop and iPad. So try to avoid it, but if you are not able to avoid it, you have to use it. So, and we have also used it in some of our dashboards which users are seeing on iPad devices, and they are okay with it because there is no other option available.
Okay. Is there any third-party component like CrossTab, you know, that can be used as that is supported by iPad?
No,
you know,
instead of that, see, you use a scorecard component instead of CrossTab. You use a scorecard component. Scorecard component also you can create a table. If you don't use charts in scorecard, directly you can create a table. So that is supported.
Rakesh, we can use the UI5 table, right? UI5 table is supported.
I have not used it, so I'm not sure, but you can use it. Only CrossTab is not supported. So there are other options available. You can try it.
Like, yeah, I was just googling the things and I found SDK UI5 also can be supported, and this type of functionality we can achieve, but it will not see the say more functionality like Cluster has. Okay, but
Okay.
it can bring some of the data. Okay, so
Yeah, based on
not sure much.
I have also not used it, so I cannot tell you like what are the advantage it has and what are the disadvantage. But yeah, there are components which you can use.
Okay.
So let's.
So do we need to create the two different kind of dashboards for the tablets and for the desktop version?
Not really. See, the same dashboard, whatever you created for desktop, it will work fine on iPad device also. But sometimes what people will say, no,
Forget
it was a
forget
specific.
about
It was
forget
specific.
about iPad.
No, it was specific requirement from the customer that they want 2 dashboards only. So that's why we
I
created.
see.
Apart from this dashboard, I have created so many
Hmm.
dashboards, but never created 2 different versions for two different devices.
I see. Okay, that's
The
fine.
same dashboard, whatever.
And is it when?
Yeah.
My apology. Yes.
No.
I'm asking here. Is it when we call iPad? Is it only is it only Apple devices, or is it just like Android devices are
Only Apple devices.
included?
Only Apple devices. As of now,
So
it's
we can't publish two. Oh, okay.
not
All right.
available. It won't work.
All right.
It's not supported. You can try it out, but it's not supported by SAP itself.
I understand.
Yeah.
But Rakesh, just 1 second, I will take. As per my understanding, like when you design a iPad related report, okay, there are very few components, very few UI5 which supports, but in this desktop version, there are many UI5. So what I am trying to say, like if I will use those UI5 which supports in desktop but not in i5, that time you will land into issue, right? You got it?
UI5 part, I'm not sure, but whatever components are there in the design studio, right?
No, no, UI5, like whenever you go for desktop, it takes the desktop version UI5. When we go for mobile, it takes the mobile version UI5. Okay. Basically, we are calling the UI5 in the background. So in mobile side,
yeah. So these all components are supported. Only crosstab, I think that is not supported. Apart from crosstab, most of the components are supported.
Okay, I will send you the details so that you can advise me on that later.
Okay.
We can
yeah, because see whatever if you see this HR dashboard, right? So whatever components we have used, all components are supported on iPad also, because I have checked it. This dashboard is running fine in iPad and desktop both.
Okay.
Yeah. So you can just get an idea of iPad dashboard which we have delivered.
Yes.
So
yeah, correct.
this is
what is this?
One question, Rakesh.
Yeah, Aziz.
That I see some of the dashboards you have over here, and this is all related to iPad, right?
Yeah, this screen, the screen design is for iPad only. Yeah, we have taken this screenshot from iPad only.
So and it's really hard for us to make this kind of dashboards, right?
No, it's not. I'll tell you, okay, how I created this dashboard. Okay.
Yeah, but I will definitely.
No, I'll just explain you logically. Then if you have any questions, just let me know. Okay. So we have one component called pagebook. Okay. I'll tell you what is pagebook component, but we have one component. It is like a grid component only. So we covered the complete screen. And after that, we inserted 5 pages. So bottom, if you see, there are 5 buttons. If you click on any button, first button, then it will go to page 1. If you click on second button, it will go to page 2, 3, 3rd, 4th, and 5th. Okay. And pagebook provides additional option is you can swipe also. So instead of clicking on the buttons below, you can swipe also. Okay.
The only thing I was thinking, is that possible, like to get some of these examples of it? You can send it just like the other one, the HR database. You send it to us, the dashboard, so that we can practice more.
Just a minute, 1 minute. I'll give you the idea how to create this kind of dashboard. Okay. So you got the from customer, you got the requirement that they want this kind of dashboard, this screen they want. Okay. So what you will do is you have the blank page. first of all, you divide your screen into grid. Okay, so you take a grid, and this grid you see this, there is one row, there is second row for filters, there is third row for charts, there is fourth row to display some text value, and there is fifth row for just buttons, right? So you divide your screen into 5 rows first and put all your components. So there is first row, then second, and third is for chart, which is little bigger, so you give the ratio accordingly. Then there is fourth, and there is fifth. So you divided your screen, right? Up to here it is clear. You will divide your screen. Then again in the chart area, you see there are 7 charts for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Each day one chart. So you take one chart component, you put it, you divide again one more, you divide this particular cell into 7 different cells, 7 columns. So you put one grid again and divide into 7. This is one. Similarly, you put 7. Okay, so these 7 charts are there. Now what is then everything is JavaScripting only, right? If you select this particular KPI, you show that particular KPI. If you want to select this KPI, you show that KPI in the below chart. So you write the JavaScripting for that. You use 4 drop down buttons. If you select a drop down that chart, you put a set filter option. You can create this kind of dashboard very easily. It's not complex dashboard.
So Rakesh, where we are using the page component here?
Pagebook, you will not
The
see the
example which you
component.
shown me.
No, Pagebook component you will not see here.
Pagebook, where we are using?
You can't see in the output.
No.
Where is
The example which is.
Okay.
Sorry, Sorry, Rakesh. So you just go to PowerPoint. Please go to PowerPoint.
Okay.
You started with the grid, right? So where pagebook components comes in picture here?
Yeah. So pagebook instead of all this component, right? You first put a pagebook component. Okay. You put a pagebook component. Let's say that you have kept. Okay. Let's go to Design Studio only now. You take one pagebook component. You place that component. Cover everything. Okay, and add pages to it. There are 2 different pages. Okay, what I'll do is on page 1 I'll put a simple some component called chart. Page 2 I'll put another component called cross tab. Okay, you can design your page, configure your pages later on. I'll just show you the pagebook component, how it works. So this is our pagebook first component, first page of the pagebook component, where we have kept the chart. What you will do is, if you are on iPad device, right, you will swipe. We have just swiped it. What I did is I clicked on mouse click, and then swipe. If you want to go back to the page 1, click mouse, hold it, again back. I am swiping on the screen. You can make out, right, how you will swipe on iPad now. If you are on first page, you just swipe it, it will go to page 2. So that is pagebook component, but it won't be visible. It's not visible to end user, right? You are not able to see it here. Where is that component? So in this scenario, this is my first page of pagebook component. If I swipe, I'll go to second page. This is my second page. And from first page to second page, if you want to go, I have given one more option of button also. So from first page, if he wants to go to 5th page directly, he can click on 5th button. Directly it will go to 5th page. Clear?
So These all are combined into Facebook. So this is the first. This is the first part of the Facebook.
First
The
page.
next one is the second part of the Facebook, right?
Yes, yes,
Okay,
different
first page
pages.
of the Facebook. Oh, okay.
Correct.
And next is this is the second page of the Facebook, right?
Correct. So,
Okay. And within Facebook, within the second Facebook, you have defined a grid.
yeah,
Am I
correct.
right?
Yeah, so you put a grid component here, and then again, pagebook, one page is one page of a pagebook is nothing but again a new dashboard for you, right? It's a new screen, blank screen. If you add one more page to it, you will get one more.
So basically, this is for iPad, the iPod purpose, right? Or do we use it for Design Studio also?
For if you
Sorry,
are
desktop.
no, for desktop one also you can use it. Nobody will swipe it, right? They can swipe also, and you can go by click also. What you can do is see, instead of starting from the top or from bottom, you can give okay. If you want to create multi-tab reports, you can give okay 20 margin, and then on the bottom you can put 5 buttons or 4 buttons, and use a page book component. Click on the third button, go to third page of the book.
No use, na. Tab strip is there for that.
So tab strip is there, but when you open the same dashboard on iPad, right, it gives very good feeling when you swipe.
Yes, correct.
Right. So sometimes users will ask, okay, I want the swipe functionality.
So basically, we need to understand first, like what type of reporting they are looking.
Correct.
If it is mobile reporting, then we have to think in that way first, and then we need to align the desktop reporting with the mobile reporting. So that
the thing is, when you talk about mobile reporting, right, that times you have very limited space. You can't waste some space just for tab strip. Right? You can use tab strip also there, and they can click on different tabs and go to different pages. That is also okay. But if you remove those tabs, you got more space to develop, right?
Yes, absolutely right.
So then this pagebook component is clear. Okay.
Yes, Rakesh.
Yeah, and regarding that top and bottom, right? I tried top bottom, right, in Design Studio. I tried it, and so in local mode it's not working. Whatever I tried, and I'll try next week in on platform mode, and I'll give you the update. Meanwhile, I found this particular blog which may be useful to you guys. You can use this blog and maybe try something. So using scripting, he has achieved top and bottom end. You can explore this option and try. If it's not, even I'll also try the same thing.
This is the code only I sent you.
Oh, is it? You took it from here only, eh? Okay, fine. Anyways, I'll I'll try it from the same. Even you guys can also try it from the same blog. I have shared it in the chat window, so you can try it. Other guys also can try it. Or else, if it is not working, then the another option is you do it in Bex only. It's better to do it always in Bex. All the calculations in Bex only. Okay, and yeah, so any other topic we have?
Rajesh, regarding, you remember regarding yesterday we were solving some sort of between range question, range problem yesterday.
Yeah, that is range.
So regarding that.
Okay, so range, that high low is we have given, right? High and low we have given, but yesterday what we were trying extra is how to get the top 3 only. So for that,
Okay.
you can use this blog.
What if I need between? I want to choose between range.
Yeah, between range you can do, right? High and low, directly you can define high and low range. Yesterday we tried that.
Okay.
So high and low is working fine. If you want only always top 10 based on some measure, yeah, for that we'll explore this blog, and I'll also try from my side.
All right. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, Christian
Is
said
there just one small question? Can you just share a document, like a data visualization document, so that we can know what if there are any complex components that needs to be used, like in some situation, if you can guide us on that as well.
complex component.
If there, for example, if there is a waterfall chart that needs to be used in certain situation, I'm just confused, like, in what cases what component needs to be used, in what scenarios, what components need to be used.
Do you mean what chart to use when to use?
Exactly.
Yes.
Okay.
What are the best practices or something like that?
So I have one diagram for this. I need to find it out, like where to use what kind of chart. So I'll share it with you. Okay.
Yeah, I mean the simple ones are so easy. Simple ones are really easy, and we can just plug in data and then we can get. But there are some complex components, like that, like waterfall. So I need to know about that. So yeah.
Okay, fine. Let me just find out the document which I have. I'll share it with you guys.
Rakesh,
1 minute. Like Krishna has some. Just a minute, Krishna. Sorry, Krishna has pinged something. So can you create a scenario for mobile requirement if possible? Okay, so mobile dashboards, right? Okay. So you want an example with pagebook component, or because any dashboard, whatever you create, right, you will be able to see on mobile device. Yeah. Okay. One more thing I wanted to tell you guys. If you create any dashboard, by default you will not be able to see on iPad. Okay, it won't appear on iPad. So what you do is you go to, if you are publishing on Launchpad on BI platform, right? You go to Launchpad and go to your dashboard, go to categories, and there is a mobile category. There will be one mobile category. It's not showing here. Go to categories. Okay, mobile they have not created. So first you create a mobile category. Well, let's create a mobile category. And add the dashboard to the mobile category. After that only you will be able to see this dashboard on iPad devices. Before that you will not be able to see the dashboard on iPad devices. So this is one thing you need to take care. Understood?
Can you go back to the categories? I just want to see what were the steps like.
You just go and create a mobile category with the name mobile.
Okay. And then we have to go back to the dashboard file and then specify that.
In most of the environment, the mobile category will always be there. It's BioAdmin will always create this, or if it is not there, you can ask BioAdmin to create a mobile category. Once it is created, you go to Launchpad. You go to your dashboard, right click, go to categories and assign the mobile category to it. Just select the mobile category and click OK. Make sure you have selected, that is selected, then click OK. So mobile category is,
Okay. I can create copies of it and then assign one to the mobile and one I can keep it for desktop, right? Something like
no, the same
Can I do that?
dashboard, same dashboard you use it for desktop and mobile. Now why you are creating?
Okay. Oh, so that will be applicable for both. Okay.
Yeah, now you can open here also as well as on iPad also.
Okay.
Okay. So okay, now we have two questions, one from Krishna and one from Aziz. So let's go by one by one. Okay, so Krishna is saying like, let me just copy it on Notepad. So this is the question from Krish, and another thing is this thing from Aziz. Okay, so Krishna, you want to see the more of mobile dashboards. This is what you are looking for, right? So any dashboard, anyways, you can open on mobile devices. But when you are working with mobile devices, right, try to, if the end user is saying, okay, I'll be seeing the dashboard mostly on mobile. If you're targeting mobile devices only, or more than 50% mobile devices, what you do is you create your dashboard in such a way that the what you call the buttons or interface, right? It gives user an option, easy accessibility. So you create buttons, bigger buttons, drop downs, a bigger drop down, or if you are using radio button, you use a bigger radio button. So it becomes easy for selection. Wherever you want to do a selection, you use big components. Just for an example, working with desktop, you can give small dots on line chart. While working with iPad, use bigger dots to select if you want to select it. So it becomes easy. And if you are want to create the dashboard only for mobile devices or target more on mobile devices, while creating the application itself, right, there is an option you create using SAP UI5 mode, SAP UI5 M mode. M is for mobile. So you create the dashboard using this layout. When you create using this layout, the automatically the buttons and all, right, it will be little bigger. One more thing is, once you create a dashboard, you can always migrate it to SAP 5 UI5M mode, but you can't revert it back. You can go from normal mode to M mode. You can convert your dashboard, but the reverse is not possible. So once you convert it, your components will change little bit. As you can see the difference now, this drop down has become a little bigger one. Just save it with different name.
Rakesh, if we have created a dashboard like SAP UI5M in SAP UI5M mode, and if I'm publishing it to BI platform, do I need to select that particular category as well?
Yes.
Mobile category?
Yeah, still you need to select the category. Category, it is just for look and feel. The component size and all. Now the component is little different here. You see, this is the component on mobile, and if you open the normal one, let's open the normal one also. You see the difference in the look and feel only. So this is the regular one. See, this is our drop down. So it's different. We can select, there are small numbers, right? Small values. The height is very small here because we are using a mouse, so we can select easily. While working with iPad M devices, mobile devices, still it is working on, it will work fine on desktop, but the visual, the look and feel is different. It's specific for iPad. So if you are creating a dashboard which is applicable for both the desktop and iPad, you use the M mode, because here also it is looking good, and on the iPad devices also the way you access the dashboard, it is good. It's easy for end user. Okay. Yeah.
So all the credential and all these things works in the same way, like the city works in the normal.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, everything is remains same.
Everything remains same. And I think earlier in the few classes back, I think you mentioned that we can also send a dashboard through the emails. Is that correct? No?
You can share the bookmark. If you want to share the bookmark, you can share the bookmark. If you want to share it through email, right? The link, if you want to share, you can go to like this dashboard. If you want to share it with the link, you can just directly get the document link of the dashboard. So this is the document link, and you can share it with anyone who has the access, because once you click on this link, it will ask you for user ID and password. So if that user has credentials, then he can open the dashboard. Just give the username and password, it will open the dashboard. If it doesn't have, then you will not be able to see. Okay, so it's opening. Meanwhile, I'll just read out what Aziz is asking. If you have some imports of different dashboards, this will improve. Okay, you want something for practice, eh? I can share some of the samples which are available on SCN. So you can try to recreate those small dashboards. These are not big dashboards. They are very small dashboards. You can try to recreate the same dashboards, and you can get the idea from these screenshots basically. So either from this screenshot, you can take any screenshot. Okay, so how to hide? There is a checkbox, right? If you see, there is a checkbox on the top. So when that is checked, there is a line chart. Okay. When you uncheck that checkbox, that line is gone. So at the runtime, we are changing the chart type, or we are removing one data series from the chart. So how to do that? You explore the option. If you are not able to get it, I'll let you know. But first you try it. Okay. You get this kind of, I can share other screenshots also. So you can get the idea. Just try to recreate some of it. Apart from this, if you want, let me just check if I have something more which I can share.
Rakesh?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So regarding that file, I think it's SG. I'm just getting a mental block. I'm just getting a block. It's probably that file that you use with CSV, right? What is that file? Let me just check. I'm not able to remember. I think it's the MDM file or whatever the file is when you import a CSV data source, like, or along with that the other file.
Metadata file?
Yeah, metadata file. Sorry, metadata file. Yeah. Regarding the metadata file, when I'm creating that metadata file, can you just help us with the syntax of it? Just help us like where we have to be careful, and then what specific syntax is there, so that I can just I can create it from a CSV.
Okay, so see, I have shared that metadata file, right? You always take that file as a reference file for you. Whenever you want to create a new metadata file, you take that file as a reference. So you just create a copy of it always, and then start working on that file, either in Notepad++ or Notepad. So this part, right, up to here, initial 7 lines, don't change anything. Okay, this will always remain same for any metadata file, and this part also. So the part you will be changing is only this part. Then you decide how many characteristics and how many key figures you want to show, you want to use in your CSV data file. So based on that, you put the characteristics first column will always just change it based on your requirement. Like instead of department, if you have customer ID, you change it customer ID and what you want to call it. This is the first thing is technical name, and the second thing is its description. So you want to call customer name or something, whatever. This is your first column. This is column number. Okay. Then this is aggregation mode. So for characteristics, it will remain just blank. Then it's a text or it's a key that you decide whether it's a text or key. So you give one text, one key, then it's string, uppercase string and all. Those things, just change it here only in the file. Don't.
So if it's a key, it's a okay. If it's a key figure, then it will be a value added to this. Okay, or a data type. No, yeah, value. Okay.
If it's a key figure, you use this. In the local mode, either you can use blank or sum as aggregation mode. That average will not work. It won't work. So you use either sum or blank. Okay. So the percentage and all, right? It will always sum up.
Yeah.
Ideally, it should not sum up, but when you are working in local mode, it will always sum up.
Okay.
But when you are working on platform mode, then automatically percentage will recalculate from backs and it will give you the correct value.
Yeah, that's yeah. Okay, but we have to leave this blank because of aggregation.
Yeah, no. If it is percentage also, you use sum or blank. There's no other option available.
Okay. Before that, there is an empty quotation before value.
This one?
Yeah, this is what is this for? Is this for aggregation or what?
This is, okay, you check. Oh, it's for presentation, it says. So presentation.
Okay. All right.
It's a well.
So you have specified the data types on the top, and then you're okay. All right, got it. I got it.
Okay, and similarly, you define your CSV file, and you change the. It's difficult to create this CSV file. It's not easy to create the CSV file.
So what happens if you have in the country there? So how do you need to, because if you go back to your metadata,
Yeah.
because where is that metadata file?
Yeah.
It says role name, description field, reference, characteristics, presentation, data type, aggregation mode. If you have country or something then, so nationalities.
Yeah. It's a text only. It's not geodimension.
So it will be, that's correct. Yeah.
If you have latitude, longitude, then treat them as a double. No, instead of integer, you can put double here. If it's
all right, okay.
Decimal values, right? You use double.
Yeah. Achha. This, those bags, when we loaded from the bags, did it create the metadata for that?
No. It will automatically create the metadata in backend. You don't have to create.
Okay, because metadata is a data of data. So basically,
it's there in the system, already there in the system, right? You don't have to create.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah, so it's already. So no, means I was just thinking that if we have some kind of scenario for the flat file and we don't know how to create the metadata, so probably just we can take the reference.
If you have BW system, right? So always,
yeah.
If your data is there in your BW system and you want to use in local mode, what you do is, this is 1.5 actually, so you don't have that option here. If in 1.6, when you are connecting with BACS, right? What option you just edit the initial view, and there you have the option here basically to export it the CSV. So this particular data will export into CSV and it will create the metadata file for you.
Okay.
Can we export a metadata file as well from here, other than CSV?
No, you will export a CSV file only. It will export the metadata file also along with it.
Oh, okay. Yeah. All right.
You export the data into CSV. Once you export the data, automatically the metadata file also will go.
All right, great. Okay.
And there are some third-party, some components are available which will generate the metadata for you. So there is a blog for that as Studio. So you can refer this blog. So this is your normal data, right? This is your normal data, and if you click on, you download this file, you put your data here, click on generate metadata, it will generate the metadata for you in the next tab. So you can use, this is one good blog actually. So if you have normal CSV data, then you can convert that into the Design Studio data. You can convert the metadata and you can use the CSV file. Or else if your data is in BW, then you can directly export this through Design Studio and use the metadata file also. Clear? Any other question, guys?
Rakesh Dev, yeah.
Yeah, Dev.
Rakesh, I just wanted to understand debugging on CSS side. That day you were showing us something. Was pressing some function key and we were going to the CSS mode. Just wanted
Okay.
to see
See,
that.
you run the dashboard in Chrome. You can do it in IE also, but better to you do it in Chrome. You right click, go to inspect. Okay. Then using the console, the cursor, you go to, okay, you want to change the property of this component. You select the component. On the right hand side, the class will be selected. You need to identify its class. Okay. You identify the class. It's not very straightforward, but when you start doing it, then you can export. It will take a lot of time initially to identify. Then later on you can play around with the properties here. You take that class. For example, if this is the class name vbound, you take that class, go to Design Studio in your CSS file, right? We will use CSS, custom CSS file. Let's upload a CSS file. There is no CSS file. This is 1.5 actually. That's why I'm saving first on desktop and uploading it. In 1.6 you can directly recreate the CSS file on the in the repository. You don't have to upload it from the desktop. Okay. And if I have added that that class into that CSS file and use that CSS class on components and check the behavior. Understood?
Partially. Just wanted to see like how you will put it.
For that, you need to identify the correct class. Then it's not the correct class. I just took the. See, what you do is if you get the class name right, you put dot that class name, whatever class name, right? Okay. And then start curly braces and all, and then you define the properties. For example, you want to change the width, right? You use the width and you say okay 20 pixel. Color you want to change, use color, some hash color. Like that. Font, if you want to change font. So these parameters you need to identify whether font is the parameter or color is the color, or there is a background color. So these are the different parameters available. You use it, and then this is your class name, right? You assign this class name on the component on which you want to apply this new formatting. You go to the select that component, go to CSS class, assign that class here. Okay.
Can't we do directly from Design Studio screen. I'm still wondering like why we are going there in that screen and we are
This is
taking the.
this is 1.5 actually. The server has 1.5 Design Studio. It is not 1.6. In 1.6 you have the option. In 1.6 if you see, you have the option. You can directly create and edit the CSS here itself. Okay, so in 1.5 that option is not there. So you can write here directly. You can define your class and then you can fill the parameters from here. It gives you all the options. It's very easy in 1.6. It gives you don't have to know the parameter. You just go and see, okay, that parameter is there or not, and give the value here directly. Display none. Automatically it will go here.
So the important thing is that we need to find the right class. Correct?
Correct. Yeah. So finding a class, yeah, it takes a lot of time and practice. So you need to identify, okay, if you want to change the property of this, what is the class name? So this is the class name if you see here, right? V rectangle, or on the right hand side you see the V data point, V morphable data point, V data point hover. This is the complete class name. And sometimes you don't have to assign the class name also in the component, right? You select the component. It is not required to assign the, if you assign the CSS class, it is applicable just for this component. If it is a standard class, you are using a standard class, then all the pie charts, right? It is applicable for all the pie charts throughout the dashboard automatically. You don't have to assign. And if you give a custom name to it, then you put that custom name on the component. Like instead of default, if for example, if say SAP default class name is there, right? This is your class name, that is default. And if you are changing some parameters here, you don't have to assign this class to the component because this is a default class for the component. Automatically it will reflect for all the charts which has this particular class, or all the pie charts, right? Because this is a pie chart, SAP default pie chart, right? Default pie chart. So all the pie charts in your application will reflect. If you don't want to do that, you give a name, custom pie, and take this custom pie and assign this custom pie to the pie charts on which you want to apply the CSS.
It's a bit tricky. We need to do some R&D.
Yeah. You start creating dashboards and run in Chrome and try to identify the CSS class of it and try to change its shape, color, those things.
Okay. So what are the business cases like where we will do more using this functionality?
CSS? Now in 1.6, a lot of functionality is already available for formatting. In earlier versions, formatting options was not available, so you have to use CSS class. Now most of the things you can do it by default, but still sometimes one use case is like selection. Based on the selection, right, its background color should change. If we select a button, right, its background color should change. So that kind of thing you can do it through CSS.
Okay.
In earlier versions, yeah, we used to write a bigger CSS classes. Now in 1.6, when I started using 1.6, very rarely, mostly I use the selection and deselection only. Sometimes, okay, another use case can be, okay, this bar, right? It has some width, right? If you want to change the width of this bar, you can do it through CSS. If you have multiple bars here, right, there is a lot of free space available. If you want to reduce the free space and increase the bar size, that you can do it through CSS. So try out that option.
Some particular bar, like financial bar, if you want to make
not finance only, all the values also, if you want to make it, because if you have 15 values here, right, and there are 15 blank lines, so the bar width will become very small, and you don't want this much free space, right? You want to reduce the free space, so you increase the bar width. That you can do it through CSS. Earlier that option was not available, how to tilt your titles on the x-axis, right? This role we have done it. Now this option is available. Earlier this option is not there with the chart component. It is available with info chart only. So if you are using chart component and you want to tilt that, you can do it through CSS.
Okay. Rakesh, about the Galileo, you were saying that you will.
Okay. Quickly, let's go.
I'm very interested to see.
Let
do
me
something
see if I have something on Galileo. Galileo demo I created long back. So let me see what it has. I don't know whether it will work or not. This demo I created when we were working with Galileo and we were customizing their component. Okay, so this is one dashboard. On the left hand side we are showing a geo component. This is Galileo component only. This is not the default component, and we are showing areas color based on its actual, I guess, actual or occupancy, I'm not sure, but there is some condition. So if the area actual is more than 1 lakh, then it shows in green. If area is actually is less than something, it shows in red or some other color. Then you can drill down. There is an option. You can see different you can drill. So from one layer to another layer, you can show okay, these are the buildings under that particular area. You can drill down further just for that, or drill up again. You go to different area. Let's see, because this has more buildings. So you see different buildings in different areas. You can customize this icon also. In default component, these all dots, right, they'll be on same color. You cannot put the conditional formatting here. But in Galileo component, you can put a label also. Like you see, right, there is a label on the area. This is Karama area, this is Esna 4th area. So similarly, you can put the areas on and label on the marker also, but that option is not there in the default component, because right now we don't know which is this store, which is this store, which is this store. So if there are labels, then user will know, okay. So there are different use cases. This is one sample. We started with this sample only, and we created a full-fledged dashboard after that.
I will be practicing this Rakesh better, so I may come with many questions.
Yeah, sure.
So please help on this. Yeah.
Yeah,
I will
definitely.
be requiring your help on that.
Definitely. To create this kind of dashboard, you use this component. Actually, what I'll suggest is you download the component from the website and start doing something with it. If you face any issues, you let me know. Okay, it's very easy. They'll give you the document also with it, how to create this. Galileo component is much easier than the default component in terms of configuration. It's very easy. You don't have much options here.
Okay, Rakesh.
But it's very powerful. Like for formatting, you simply put this kind of methods. What should happen when you click on drill down? What should happen? So that's
and license wise also it is okay for customers now. Like before suggesting customer, I should know about the license and all. So license wise also okay.
Yeah, they will share. They have two models basically. One is user based and another is unlimited users. So based on the number of users, you can check whether the user, because they give minimum for 25 users, and per user is somewhere around, I think 300 or 500. I don't know per user, because we have taken the unlimited one. So either it is 300 euros per user or 500 euros per user for main product, and later on they take 20% for maintenance. If you want to go for maintenance, and they give some discounts also, so it depends. We got 25% discount because we bought unlimited licenses. It costed around.
You please arrange that demo, huh?
I told him. I spoke to them, and they are little busy with Lumira 2.0 thing. So they said they'll check and come back to me. So they have not come back. If they come back, then I told them because if you go with your company ID, right, it becomes very easy for them also. They'll have one customer name that they are doing a demo for another customer, right? So you just contact them directly. There is a guy called Philippe. and Vincent.
Can you send the detail? I will find. Yeah, just send me the detail. I will contact him directly.
Fine, let me connect you guys then with those guys. You can have demo with them.
Okay, great. Yeah, it's a bit important, Rakesh, please.
Yeah,
Rakesh,
yeah.
I was wondering that is it possible that if we do the practice and can we connect with all of them for 1 hour or something next weekend or next sometime, just next week after
With
the
Galileo?
following weekend? Not Galileo, overall in the design studio, if any questions are there or any doubts are there.
See, if you
connect
guys,
1 hour.
If you guys want to discuss, you can discuss on WhatsApp. And if you want me to take a session again, what you do guys, you guys all consolidate whatever you guys have the topics, right? I'll reply to the mail itself. So we don't go for because next week I'm little busy. I got one consulting.
Okay, following week you can do.
Following week I'm again starting a new batch. So Krishna, I'm starting new batch from 3rd of April. So
okay.
I can't give you the proper
so we can
timing,
catch you in the new batch.
yeah, definitely. You give me send me an email. Okay, whatever doubts or whatever clarifications you have.
No.
Yeah. And if you want to keep everyone CC, you can keep everyone in CC so that everyone will know. And even instead of replying me, you guys can first explore between you guys, and then if it is not like you guys mind advice on that, I'll be happy to do that.
Okay. And Rakesh, this planning side actually, since I'm a BI consultant, do you have any, any way, do you have any documentation or any dashboards which you have created which you can share with us? And probably on the side, at least I can have a look that, what are the things normally happens in the dashboard.
See, planning side, the major part will be done by the IP consultant. You will use just the simple planning function. You will not use anything else. You just add the planning function. You choose your planning function from the connections. Okay. You select the planning function and you call that planning function on some script. Okay. You put a button here. And on the click of that button, you call that planning function. So everything will be done in backend only. You are just calling the planning function. And the result of the planning function you will see on the dashboard. Like either you are loading the data in the backend, or the planning function can be used for what if scenarios basically. So end user is seeing his dashboard and he wants to see, okay, if I want to increase my sales by 5%, what happens? If I increase my sales by 5%, what happens to my revenue? So he will have an input field where he will enter 5, click on button will take that value from input field. It will pass that value to the planning function. Planning function will execute everything in backend based on 5%, and it will return the data on the dashboard 5% increased. Got it?
I see.
So that calculation will be done by the IP consultant in the backend. You will just be using the planning function.
Okay. What we can publish those things to the dashboard, yeah, correct? In the for the like actual versus this this thing.
Yeah, you can, but it's a real time what if basically. So that data will be stored in the database for next time also. When you will open, you will see that planning function after once you apply the planning function, right? Whatever the data is there. So you have the actual and you have the actual forecasted also using planning function or budget or whatever. Forecasted one also. You can compare both in the dashboard. So next time instead of 5, he says, okay, I want to increase from 5 to 8. So that calculation will be again done in the backend using planning function.
So can we can we connect it with the BPC as well?
You cannot connect directly, but using planning function, yes. Once you go to planning function, right there, you can write any code. You can bring the data.
Like sorry to interrupt you in middle. Like just like we have the report planning reports in BI system, and that report will come again. We will import those reports. We will do the connection, and then only these planning objects will have those planning functions.
Correct. Correct. So you need to do those things first in IP.
Yeah. So first we have to. So we are what we are doing. We are creating the grid and all these components first, and then we are including these planning objects. Am I
Correct.
my understanding is right? Or
You are just using the
we
planning
will
objects basically. You will not create the planning objects here. You are using the planning functions only. You will not create planning function in Design Studio. You will just use it.
so what exactly they do actually? It means it's the same thing, like actual data is there in the VW report. So
With planning
any
function,
reports are there.
with planning function you can do anything. See, it's a basic step of code, right? You can write with planning function. You can execute a ABAP code also in backend and load the data from one system to another system. You can create near real-time data. Data is there in ECC. Every second it is coming, right? But from ECC to BW, you are loading data on nightly load. But using planning function, you can load the data at the runtime again. So if user want to see, okay, 12 o'clock midnight it got run, and you have the data in the dashboard till 12 o'clock midnight, right? At 10 o'clock morning, if he wants to refresh the data, he clicks on the planning function object. That it will run the backend job again. It will bring the data. It will push the data from ECC to BW, and the data will show in the dashboard. So it's kind of real-time dashboards you can create using planning functions.
Okay. Okay. And if we have the real-time cubes, then we don't need all these.
Correct. Correct.
So Rakesh, it's only read mode or write mode also?
Planning function? Using planning function, you can write.
No,
you can write back also to the database using planning function, right? This is not Design Studio topic. We are going into the planning basically. Planning function is completely new skill. Okay, it's not related to Design Studio. In Design Studio, you will just use the planning function. So whatever planning functions can do, you can do it through Design Studio window also. You can call the planning functions.
Yeah, you can do the write mode. Planning is all about the writing.
Yeah.
You do the planning and just close that period and all this.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, guys.
So Rakesh, one last question, Rakesh. Can we do? Can we do that in cross tab? Can we highlight it based on some conditional format?
In cross tab, you can do using the you cannot define the condition in the Design Studio, but you can use the Bex exceptions to highlight the data.
Okay. Yeah. So in Design Studio, it's not possible.
Not in cross tab. Or using CSS, you can do it. So, but it's very complex. You can put if-else condition.
Do you have an example? Because I tried it, I didn't got any help on that. So if you have any CSS which will help me,
guys,
do the conditional.
Really sorry, I have another meeting actually at 7:30 here, my time 7:30. So it's just 4 minutes left. So we have to drop now. Okay. Whatever questions you have, you just drop me an email. I'll be happy to reply to that. We'll connect again whenever we have time. Sorry, guys.
Just one last request. Just arrange the demo, please. Galileo demo. Huh?
Yeah, I'll drop an email. Yeah, definitely. Once I get the confirmation from them, I'll send you the details to all you guys.
All right. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, guys. Yeah, whatever is there, you just drop me an email or WhatsApp, right? I'll reply to that. Okay. Thank you, guys.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Rakesh. Bye.
Yeah. Bye bye.